Disclaimer. This is a work of satirical fiction. Any resemblance to real places or situations is purely coincidental and exaggerated for comedic effect. The story intentionally contains factual inaccuracies and absurdities as part of its artistic expression.
Yep, from Monaco to Morocco to Madrid, then back to Mexico for a week, 4 M's, and now in Vancouver, Canada. And this worldwide tour is brought to you by my daughter getting her passport for the first time in her life 6 months ago. So trying to take her to all the spots, places where I'm kind of from. I lived here in Vancouver for about 10 years, started an internet company. Know this place quite well. Trying to show her all the places before the apocalypse and everything gets insane. Doing a pretty good job of it, actually. I'm pretty happy about that because she got it around November of last year, and I was like, man, I don't know if we're gonna have enough time to see at least a few places before everything gets insane. I'll get into that in this video. There's gonna be some financial stuff in this video because that's probably what's gonna set it off, or part of it anyway. It's complicated. Lots of things are gonna set it off, but anyway, it's all gonna be fine if you're doing all the right stuff. But yeah, I'm here. Decided to take her up and show her where I'm from. I've been telling her all about it my whole life. Not all the communist stuff as much, but just my life up here and where our family's from and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And man, I just got here and I heard it's the worst news I think I've ever heard. It's like a massive tragedy beyond. Forget about 9/11, which of course was Osama bin Laden in a cave in Afghanistan. But way, way worse. And no, I'm not talking about Pedo Pete supposedly having cancer. That's really bad too. That's so sad, so sad. I'm talking about the shocking. I mean shocking. This is shocking. Like the whole world needs to just stop here and really recognize what a massive tragedy this is. Let's go to Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room. What's going on, Wolf? Yes, Jeff, everyone here's in high morning. Suspect charged with murder and fatal DC shooting. District of Criminals of 2 Israheli embassy aides. Oh my God, Wolf. 2 Israelis shot and killed. I can't imagine anything worse in the entire world than that. The little kids starving in Gaza and a million of them being killed right now and raped and tortured. That's nothing. That's nothing in comparison to 2 Israeli governmental diplomatic types getting shot and killed in the District of Criminals. Well, that shit happens all the time, by the way. But no, this doesn't look actually like a normal shooting, unfortunately. Very unfortunately. Looks like there's a lot at work here in this most tragic of events. Like, I almost thought about not even doing this video. Just take a few days off and just, 2 Israeli government people dead. It's not much worse than that when you think about it. I can't think of anything worse, really. It's about as bad as it gets. And we'll get into that. Everyone's reacting the same way. The whole world's in mourning right now. It is interesting, though, that supposedly they were shot outside of a Jewish museum. It was just like a block away from like an FBI field office. Yeah, it's weird too that Jewish museum, which is probably all fake stuff, of course, Holohoax stuff, closed 6 hours before the shooting, but I guess they were still around there. And that's just, tragic and obviously just horrible. But I think we owe it to them to look into what happened. Such a, I really feel sad even doing this video. Should all take like a week off for this, don't you think? Because that's 2 people who work for the Israeli government. The Israeli government, what have they ever done to hurt anybody? Oh man. Well, here's something interesting. The day before. Oh, and I should preface all this by saying I've been on vacation. Well, not really vacation. I'm always working. I really am. In various ways, and a lot of it's on myself as well. But I'm just non-stop going. So I should mention before I talk much further that I haven't looked into any of this for more than like 15 minutes. So if I get anything a little bit wrong, yeah, you can put it in the comments, I'll never read them. And I'm sure I will get a couple things slightly wrong or something, because this is not a full-scale investigation. I used to do that 10, 20 years ago. Whenever anything would happen that looked suspicious for anything, I would look into it for like weeks. And now I'm just like, as soon as you see it, actually, it's all pretty obvious. And a lot of other people already do it quite quickly as well, which is great. I've said this before. You know, when 9/11 happened, like, no one on the internet that I knew of was even questioning it. It was all, yeah, this is Muslims and all this kind of stuff. And then even the Boston Marathon totally hoax bombing, which there was nothing real, it was all staged, you know, by those producers.
We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay, we're the directors, we're the producers, we're the main actors, and the world is our stage.
But even that, there wasn't a lot of people. It was like weeks later that some people said, hey, look, I looked into one of the guys and he's like an actor and all that sort of stuff. And look at this image, and this can't possibly be real or true. And it's kind of progressed over the years to the point where I'm actually really happy about this. Millions of people are starting to question everything, which is great. And because of that, I don't have to look into all this stuff too much. Pretty quickly, I follow a lot of the better accounts, obviously, on X. No one can see them, barely, no normies, but I follow them, and lots of them put out good information. And one of the interesting things was, and this is very interesting, the day before this most tragic of events, and just, again, I don't know how I'm ever going to get over this one. You know, there's supposedly 6 billion people on Earth, although I think that's highly exaggerated. I think it's closer to 3 or 4. But two got killed. And by the way, I don't know these people, and you know, like, and I kind of really, I get sick of all these people. It's like, well, you should have some, you know, these are real people and all that. It's like, yeah, well, I don't know them. If I did, I'd be quite different to the people I know in person, talking about them and stuff, but I don't. Anyway, and who knows if they're even dead, because we know most of this stuff is all fake. Or not necessarily fake, but like not what they say it is. But the day before that happened, there was apparently a bunch of other diplomats that from like Britain and a whole bunch of countries, like 10 or 20 different countries. And they went to go look at this heinous genocide going on in Palestine. And apparently they were in like the West Bank. And then the Israheli army guys shot like bullets over their head. Now the Israelis say, well, they were going to go into this area they're not allowed to. It's like, well, if you got a whole bunch of diplomats there, this is normal sort of stuff, right? Oh, I think I'm on the bike track. Oh man, I'm in Canada. I'll be in jail. Like seriously, you cannot break a rule here. People will be screaming at me actually. Like, I'm surprised someone already didn't just call me a dick. And I was just on it for like 10 seconds. They keep themselves very under, all the rules are followed here in Canada. But, what was I even talking about? I actually forgot what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Something about, I don't know. Oh, yeah, so you have all these diplomats, and, you know, normally with those things you would think, they've got all their own government people there, and they're allowing them to see these areas and stuff, right? That would be the normal thing you would think would happen. And they would say, hey, you can't go over there because we're like raping little kids over there. Don't want you to see that. And they just like say you have to go this way. But they decided to fire bullets over their head. They're like running for their lives and stuff. And that caused a fairly serious uproar in many of these places. They're like, hey, they're shooting at our diplomats. Like they're my diplomats. Like there was a Canadian one there. I don't care, shoot them. Like, actually, that'd be just another sad event in my life. I'd have to do another video. A Canadian diplomat was going, oh gosh, oh no. Not that I laugh at people when they get killed, but I don't go to my way to like be sad too much if it's government people, for the most part. But yeah, so that caused quite an uproar. And so here's something very interesting. So if you went on May 21st and you typed in Israel shooting diplomats, you would get foreign diplomats come under Israeli fire on official West Bank visit. Israheli draws outcry from Europe as soldiers fire near diplomats on West Bank visit. Outrage after Israeli army fires warning shots at French and other diplomats on West Bank. So that's what you would have got on May 21st. If you type it in on May 22nd, Israel shooting diplomats, it's all super sad news. 2 Israeli embassy staffers shot dead in downtown Washington. 2 Israeli diplomats shot and killed during an event at Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington. Israeli diplomat shot dead by suspect chanting Free Palestine in DC. We'll get to that in a second. You know, SEO companies, search engine optimization companies, you can pay them and they'll find ways to like change some of the search results for most people in your benefit, basically. Well, basically Israel does like real live SEO. They're like, well, everyone's Googling about diplomats being shot at by Israel. Let's go out and get a couple of our ones shot and create this entire event over it, which I'll get into. I haven't even started on this. And then that's all everyone will see on the internet because it's all controlled by the same algorithms that all promote the same kind of stuff. But it's pretty incredible. So like a lot of the world was turning, and they are still, on Israel, which it's about time. And even a lot of governments and politician type people who haven't been sold their soul have turned on it. And all of a sudden this one event happens, and this is how these things happen, and they're very good at what they do. And all of a sudden everyone's talking about anti-Semitism and how bad it is and how we have to go after anyone who's anti-Semitic and all that kind of stuff. It's incredible. They really do an incredible job. And they just distort any sort of events in their own favor. And by the way, I'm mostly talking about Israel here for all the people who think I'm like a Jew hater or something. I'm talking about Mossad, Israel government. They do. Mossad's motto is through deception, thou shalt do war. And man, they are experts at it. And it's amazing how they can flip the script on so many things so quickly. Silly goyim. Facts are anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. Fuck off. Maybe it's time for a little bit of going back to school here. Make sure everyone knows what these terms mean. False flag. A horrific staged event, which can be a real event. 9/11 was real. It happened. People died. Blamed on a political enemy and used as a pretense to start a war or enact draconian laws in the name of national insecurity. So the question is, was this actually done on purpose to reach the ends that we're going to see in a second? I'm going to show you what's going on now because of it. And there's a lot of evidence. Like, first of all, this is very, very bizarre. Like, first of all, in the mainstream CIA propaganda media, the very first thing they said, and they had an FBI sort of guy on, and he said that there was a couple people shot there, and the suspect fled on a motorcycle.
CNN's chief law enforcement intelligence analyst, John Miller, is joining us right now. This is coming in fast and furious. What do you know?
So, first of all, everything we're going to be reporting is preliminary because, as you know from our own experience, this information may shift and change. But what we've been told by law enforcement sources is that this was an event at a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C., at 3rd and F Northwest. That the crowd was leaving the event, apparently, that an individual opened fire. We are told that an Israeli diplomat was hit. Another one was hit, so you have at least 2 people shot. You have 3 other people injured. Those numbers can shift. We are told there are fatalities, at least 1. And we are told that the gunman, according to witnesses, fled on a motorcycle. So if you take what we have, sketchy as it is.
I love how he finished with, as sketchy as it is, because yeah, this is sketchy AF. This is so sketchy. I haven't even started to get into it. I'm not even going to get that into it because I think for most people this should be fairly obvious that something's going on here. And you know, for anyone else who wants to go out and even find more details and stuff, great. But I'm kind of done with all that stuff. None of this stuff really matters. But I did find it interesting that they're doing this now, though. So the FBI guy, who you cannot trust, and the mainstream media, who you cannot trust, said that whoever it was, the suspect took off on a motorcycle. Okay, well that's interesting. And then the story is, and again, I barely looked into this, but this appears to be true from what I've looked into. All of a sudden he showed up somewhere and he called the police on himself and said he did it and just sat there and waited for the police to come. And they did. And here's what it looked like. So I don't know if you remember with the Boston Marathon hoax bombing, man, the entire town of Boston was like tanks and helicopters, and it was a full manhunt for the person who did it, the people who did it. And this guy just calls the cops, says he did it, and then he just waits, and then they kind of show up, and it's all very like just relaxed. There's no SWAT teams or anything. That's usually what they would do in this situation. Like the guy said, I just killed a bunch of people and they knew about it, and you know, I've got a gun. And then the cops come up and just sort of like go, hey, come on, come with us, sort of thing. Like I get treated rougher than that at the airports. Like way rougher sometimes. Although I've changed all that, I've begun to figure out how to really use the Jedi mind tricks. I can do that like fully now. I can go anywhere almost now. But before I learned how to do that, man, I got way more roughed up at airports than that guy did. And not to mention, so it looks all sort of like staged, which is not anything surprising. And then there's this like kerchief on the ground. And that, of course, has been kind of used as sort of like a Palestinian, it's called a kafif or something. And it's just sitting there on the ground. And they're kind of arresting this guy, although it looks like way less than like what bouncers do at bars and stuff. And then one guy picks it up and he's smiling. If you look really closely, he's smiling. And he goes to give it to the guy or something. And then this other guy who looks very FBI-ish comes in like he knows exactly what's going on and grabs it and just puts it in his pocket.
Outside!
You know, this guy apparently had just admitted to some murders and he was being arrested. And as part of police protocol, what you want to do is just grab any evidence, put it in your pocket. Like you don't want to, you know, not touch the crime scene or any of that stuff. All that CSI stuff goes out the window when it's like a staged event like this. So again, highly circumspect about what any of this stuff is. It's almost for sure some sort of a created event. And it's kind of funny too, because if you go to Grok, which is Elon Musk's AI thing, and you say, what do you think of that video of his arrest? The Grok thing actually gives a pretty reasonable response. The video captured inside the DC Jewish Museum shows a man being escorted by security personnel in a manner that appears unusually calm and staged. Yeah, I thought so too. Leading to speculation of a false flag operation. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where an event is orchestrated to appear as if it's carried out by a different party to justify certain actions or policies. The man's deliberate placement of a keffiyeh I thought it was kafif. Kafir, I think they say. A symbol of Palestinian nationalism on the floor before being escorted away, along with his calm demeanor and the lack of struggle, suggests a pre-planned scenario rather than a spontaneous reaction to a double homicide as typically expected in such high-stress situations. It looked very unstressful, the whole thing. This event coincides with recent political tensions in the broader context of anti-Semitism and radicalism, as highlighted by the U.S. President's response to the killings, indicating a complex interplay of domestic and international narratives that may influence public perception and policy decisions. Yeah, you know, 2 people were shot in the U.S., you know, something that happens about every 20 minutes. So Donald Trump had to come out and make a statement on it, of course. And Pam Blondie, who's been working like so hard on those Epstein files, just working so hard. And then, unfortunately, for the last few months, she's been so busy with these Tesla terrorists, these people who would throw in rocks at like Tesla dealerships, that she just couldn't get around to looking into the Epstein files or any of these other major things that they promised to look into. And now, what can she do? 2 people got shot in DC. This is a major, major event.
Mayor, thank you. Chief, thank you. Ambassador, our hearts go out to you and your staff. I spoke to the President of the United States multiple times tonight on behalf of the President. His prayers are with all of us, all of the Jewish community, everyone in Washington, D.C., state, local, and federal agencies, and our great U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro, who will be prosecuting this case. We'll be doing everything in our power to keep all citizens safe, especially tonight our Jewish community. Our prayers go out. We have the FBI. All of our federal agencies will work hand in hand with you, Chief, as we have done, and you, Mayor, to do everything we can to keep our citizens safe. We will follow the facts. We will follow the law.
And of course, immediately, Benjamin Milkowski had to come out and say what a just massive, massive tragedy this was, and what it all means for us.
Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler.
So yeah, the guy, after getting sort of arrested or whatever, in that kind of very calm arrest, where the guy was putting his keffiyeh or whatever you call it in his pocket, he also managed to get out a real quick Free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
And Milkowski's like, see, that's when you say Free Palestine, which, by the way, is a country that's been around for a long time, had its own money, had its own borders. It's very well known. It was talked about by the Rothschilds. They wanted to take it over. They talked to the British about it. These people in that area have called themselves Palestinians for a long time. And they're being genocided right now by some people who are incredibly demonic and massively just evil. So if you say, and by the way, most of those people in Palestine, because they've been killing them so much, and most of the men so much, they're almost all women and children now. And I mean children. So if you say, you know, free them from being genocided, that's the same as saying, what did Kanye West call it? And of course, you have to think Hitler was the worst thing ever, because he killed 6 million Jews in the Holocaust, in World War II, which is, if you ever look into it, completely like nothing like what they said it was. They had swimming pools, there was no gas chambers, there was no nothing. It was a concentration camp to concentrate them in one area, to get them out, because they had just declared war on Germany. But yeah, so they come out and they're like, well, this is the worst thing ever. See, once people start targeting the Jews, it's the worst thing that can ever happen. So it's all equated to what happened in World War II, which didn't happen. And therefore, it's, you know, everyone's got to feel really bad about it. Like this, make no mistake, if you screamed Free Palestine, you helped pull the trigger. I can't imagine anything much sicker than a person who's doing this genocide. Benjamin Milkowski Netanyahu. And 2 people get shot, and it's probably them, and I'll get to that more in a second. This looks like a total false flag event. And he just says that, you know, how evil these Palestinian people are. It's mostly just kids that they're starving to death right now. Like, this is the most sickest inversion. I didn't think you could even be this sick or invert things this much, and anyone would even fall for it. But a lot of people still fall for all this stuff. It's just incredible. What a sick, sick thing it all is. And so, once again, it looks like they kind of did this sort of to themselves, right? They kind of set this up in response so that people wouldn't get so upset about that they just shot at a bunch of diplomats. So they had a couple of their own diplomats get killed so that they could say they're the victim again, which I don't know if you've ever noticed. This seems to be, you know, you kind of notice patterns. Seems to be they just always think they're the victim, these people. Like even, oh, it's so gross. I can't even watch them. But you have like Rabbi Shmuley, and he's talking about how this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Hi everyone, I'm in Europe for commemorations of the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War and the Holocaust. May 1945, the war finally ends with 6 million Jews incinerated, cremated, gassed, shot, 100 million people murdered because of Hitler. Because we all saw the signs of what the Nazis were going to bring, but people buried their head in the sands. And here we are 80 years later. I lived in Western Europe, in Oxford for 11 years. 6 of our 9 children were born there. And Europe's been, unfortunately, a sewer of anti-Semitism for 2,000 years. And you can see that, unfortunately, it doesn't end, right? This week, you had Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, who's married to a Jewish woman and has Jewish kids, inciting the world against Israel, falsely accusing Jews and the IDF of a genocide, as if his country didn't fight hard against the Nazis once the war finally started. They bombed German cities, things that Israel would never do, the IDF would never do. And while Keir Starmer was saying that 2 Jews were being shot in Washington, D.C. by a Free Palestine monster, terrorist thug, so much incitement against the Jews. How did you think it was going to end?
Oh yeah, poor Rabbi Shmuley. He's like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. And look how sad he is. And then they had Michael Rappaport, the other guy, who's like on camera saying he gets paid by Israheli for every post. So he's like sold his soul times 1,000. And he did his own, just very sad, just like, I just woke up and heard the news. 2 Israeli diplomats were shot. Oh.
A couple of people asked me, well, what should we do? What do you think we should do? And I'll just say what other strong, smart, proud Jewish people have told me. When something like this happens, you have to soak it up, soak up the reality, soak up the reality of the situation, just like you have to soak up the reality of the situation every single time an IDF soldier goes down, every single time a rocket is launched into Israel. The other day during the Knicks game, rockets at 3 a.m. in Israel being launched. The only thing that you can do is to pray. The only thing that you can do is to dust yourself off. And the only thing that you could do is continue to stay loud and stay proud and be actively Jewish.
So you see what's going on here, right? That's all they need to do, is just have a couple guys get shot. And then they flip the whole script again from, hey, don't pay attention to how we're killing all these little kids and stuff. Look, 2 of our guys got shot. But here's the thing. They weren't even, you would think, you know, they're Israeli diplomats, right? You would think they're so-called Jews, right? They believe they're in this Jewish religion or something like that. But no, they actually weren't. Foundering, who we just used his music for intro for our last video, said, not even Jewish, of course. The Mossad wouldn't target their own. These psyops are getting boring. Beloved Yaron Lishansky was my student at the Argaman Institute, a graduate of the Exodus program. A Christian who served in the IDF, also dedicated his life to Israel and Zionism. So that's so typical. Even if they're going to kill a few of their own, the ones that they choose are actually not Jewish. They're Zionist, big Zionist, but they're not actually Jewish, because that's a big part of a lot of the Zionist evil stuff is these people in a satanic Moloch worshipping death cult that are so nefarious and so good at lying and deception. And now you see the results, right? So a lot of the world was starting, and is, but was even more so starting to turn on Israel finally, which is a really good sign, actually. And two guys get shot, a man and a woman get shot. And they flipped the whole script. Now Trump and Blondie and the mainstream media is all talking about it. Rabbi Shmuley, Michael Rappaport, something's got to be done about this. There was a huge tragedy. Since I started this video, probably 5 or 10 kids in Palestine have been murdered, tortured, raped, while they're all talking about all this stuff. And let's go to the situation room with Wolf Blitzer. What's going on, Wolf? Yes, Jeff, Laura Loomer had something to say on this. I fully support Israel doing whatever they need to do to root out Palestinian terror. Oh, this Palestinian terror. By any means necessary, please root out Palestinian terrorism, which is now infecting our country and every American city. Just let Israel do what needs to be done. Kill those kids. The world will be a safer place. And she also added, 2020 was the summer of love. 2025 will be the summer of jihad. You'll see. So that's interesting. Laura Loomer, of course, has like 1 million followers on X. I have no idea even who she really is, or if it's even a she, because it doesn't really look like it. One of the most heinous looking things I've ever seen. Always just saying demented stuff, stupid stuff, gets like millions and millions of views, which is how all this stuff works. I should mention, by the way, that I had someone say to me, Jeff, you talk about Dave Smith and Michael Malice and Spike Cohen about how this was like a actual COINTELPRO type takeover of the libertarian/anarchist movement by Jews. And all I was pointing out is that it seemed like 3 people kind of like all of a sudden took over a lot of what people were listening to and got bumped up in the algorithms. And so I just want to say, they might not even be a part of some sort of plan. It could be that basically the people who control all these things, all these algorithms and the mainstream media and all that kind of stuff, they try to choose people that are in their cult to bump up in the algorithms. So, you have me, had the biggest anarcho-capitalist podcast, running Anarchapulco for 12 years now. And I'm banned in most places, or at least massively shadow banned in others. Never get anything on the algorithms ever. And so I think they look at it and go, okay, let's, this guy is pretty like right on a lot of stuff. If people hear what he has to say, he can really change some stuff. So let's ban him everywhere, shadow ban him. But we have to let some of this thought get out, because it'd be too obvious if you couldn't even mention the word anarcho-capitalism or anarchism, and it'd just be too obvious. And they might say, okay, well, who are some of the people talking about this stuff who are in our cult? And when I say in their cult, they just might look and go, okay, he's in this Jewish thing. In various ways, they might be able to at least put some influence on them and stuff. Plus all these people, by the way, Dave Smith, Michael Malice, Spike Cohen, are like watered down, so they're like, yeah, these guys are watered down. Dave Smith's like, he was promoting Trump, and now he's like, oh, I'm so sad Trump didn't do so with this. What are you talking about? How could, no one at Anarchapulco would have ever done that. All the people who are legitimate, who are really saying the real stuff, would never have said that. You have Michael Malice, he just posted about, hey, has anyone seen the new has anyone seen that Saturday Night Fever movie? Or talking about which snakes are more poisonous. So at the very least, they're like, yeah, pump these guys up in the algorithms. Because like, yeah, you have people like Jeff Berwick or other people like me who've been doing some pretty amazing stuff and are put this stuff out there for like 15 years. And I even wrote a book, Controlled Demolition of the American Empire, and all kinds of stuff. And let's pump up a guy who talks about like movies and snakes and says he's like an anarchist. And here's something interesting. I haven't actually mentioned this yet. Anarchapulco is doing a bit of a partnership with Freedom Fest, which is a liberty conference that's not really anarchist, but it's more like minarchist leaning liberty conference in the US. It's been going on for like 15 years or more, so longer than Acapulco. And they wanted to do a deal where, hey, we'll come and promote your thing and you come and promote our thing. So the Acapulco people agreed to it, and they said, hey Jeff, as part of it, they asked you to be like a speaker somewhat on stage at Freedom Fest. And I said, you know, I haven't been there like pre-COVID. So everything's pre or post-COVID for me. So I was like, yeah, I haven't been there in like 6 or 7 years, I don't think. I thought, yeah, what the heck? Why don't I? And they also did a similar deal with PorkFest, which is, both of these events are coming up in June, just so you know. And they said, hey, do you want to go speak at PorkFest? And I was like, well, if I'm going to be in the USSA, and Freedom Fest is 1 week and the next week's PorkFest, it's super easy for me to go to both. So I said, yeah, sure. So I'm going to be speaking at both those events, just so you know. I'll put links to it down below. You can actually use the promo code in Acapulco, I think it is. I'll put it in the notes. And you get like 10% off those events. So I will be speaking at both those. But here's the interesting thing. A couple of days ago, they said Freedom Fest wants to have like an anarchist fireside chat type thing at Freedom Fest. And they wanted Michael Malice and me. And, you know, I've been talking about him like the last few videos, like, it's either controlled opposition or he's just like a goofball idiot. And he's like nothing like I can think of hundreds of anarchists way smarter, way better than him. But yeah, I said, yeah, I agree. And here's the thing I'm going to say right now. I don't think they told him or asked him about it. And I think once they tell him or ask him, hey, do you want to be on with Jeff Berwick? He's going to say no. And I'll bet he even cancels from the conference. Because people like that know that I'm going to like come and talk to them. I'm going to suss them out. And, you know, they're mostly just like hiding behind the scenes, trying to like, you know, act like they're this thing getting bumped up to the algorithms, whether they know it or not. So there's something interesting for you. So that's coming up both in June. So I've been like traveling like crazy. So I'll be going and doing that. But we should get back to this Israheli stuff for a second. So, yeah, you got all these people, this is the worst thing that ever happened. We got, you know, and of all months to do it, during Jewish Memorial Month, you know, you got a whole month celebrating the Jews in the U.S.
A very happy Jewish Heritage Month. This May, we celebrate the incredible contributions that the Jewish citizens have made to our country, and they are many.
You know, is it me, or does that video look fake? Does that look AI to you? AI is getting so insane, by the way. I think there's something called Vivo 3 or something that Google just put out. You can create entire motion picture movies with just telling it what you want it to look like, and it does all the rest, and it looks real. Like, everything's done. AI's taken everything over. And I kind of wonder if that Trump, something about it doesn't look natural or right to me. I wonder if that's even just an AI. I wonder if any of these people even really exist on some level. But I know some of them exist. Some of them are so big, they're hard to ignore. Like Representative Congressman Randy Fine. There's no suffering adequate for these animals. May the streets of Gaza overflow with blood, said this morbidly obese, parasite-filled sack of total shit. So you got that guy saying kill all those kids, and they are, and they're starving them to death. And he's like 800 pounds and full of parasites and condoning the most evil, demonic stuff ever, saying they're evil and demonic, these little kids, for the most part. Because that's all that's left. And there's like 1 million of them left. And they started with 2.3 million. And they still to this day, and I've seen this a lot, by the way. Someone please pass this along to people like Sal the Agorist on X. I see them posting things like they've already killed 30,000 kids. Those are the official numbers. The real numbers, if you just pay attention, they're like there's 1 million people left. Well, there was 2.3 there like a year ago. They've killed over 1 million kids in Gaza already, according to basically the numbers that they kind of put out. Because Trump even said there's 1 million people left and we want to relocate them. So anyway, so they're all looking at that. It's going to take a while, just so you know. Pam Blondie's going to be backed up looking into this murder of 2 Israheli diplomats for like months. So it's going to be a little bit of delay again there, guys, getting the Epstein files out. And not to mention, and you got to give him credit, Kash Patel, which I spell with a C, because he's getting a lot of money for doing this. And Dan Bongino, who I have no idea who he is, but they're both basically idiots. From everything I've heard from them, and even how they both look like idiots. And I think they just got put in and told what to do and what to say, and or are so stupid they can get fooled, because they actually came out recently. And before this, by the way, both of them had said things to the effect that obviously Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself in that prison in New York. And that's fairly obvious. He had a 6-foot-high bunk bed and he was under suicide watch, and there's no tapes, all the tapes are taken away. And the guy they wheeled out doesn't even look like him. And so to anybody, it's like, okay, who knows if he's even dead? If he is, it wasn't a suicide. And even Kash and Dan Bongino, who are like in charge of the FBI or something now, used to say that it obviously wasn't a suicide. Well, here's what they got to say now.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
Oh, the Babylon Bee just put out, FBI determines Abraham Lincoln killed himself. Yeah, I remember people being all excited about these people getting in. I've seen so many of them, they're like, okay, I think we all got fooled. Except for a few. There's this one lady, what's her name? It's something Broderick or something. It's always got like 1 million views on X. It's some old lady on X. And she posted, well, I was sure that Epstein didn't kill himself. But now that Bongino and Kash Patel say he did, I guess I'm just going to have to accept that he did. It's like, wow. Wow. You know, like, there's 2 ways to look at that. Either that's stupid, and they can't even like look into anything, or they're that stupid and they've actually got handlers in there, and they come in with all these briefcases like, no, look, here's some, we got some classified documents here that shows he was killed, and they're like, oh, okay, so he was killed. Or they're just totally paid off and know they're paid off and promote whatever they're told to promote, which is usually the case. But anyway, most of this stuff doesn't matter all that much. What's actually going on, though, is actually massive. There's some massive financial stuff happening. And this is everything I've been talking about since the start of the Dollar Vigilante. It's about to go down. We're seeing now in Japan that bond yields are spiking there. After being at 0% for years, they're now up past 3% now. Japan's record 40-year bond yield signals unsustainable debt and could foreshadow similar pressures in U.S. Treasuries after Moody's downgrade, which I talked about in the last video. A sudden spike in Japanese yields raised the risk of another yen carry trade unwind, which could trigger global market volatility. Yeah, and right after that, there was almost a failed US Treasury bond market. So we're reaching the very end of all these systems. We're this close, just so you know. People won't believe how quickly this all happens when it happens, but everything's gonna crash very soon. And we're seeing all the signs of it. And actually, I'm here in Vancouver where Ed Bugos lives. I'll be meeting with him tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna make a video or not, but if we do, we'll be talking about all this stuff. But he just put out to the Dollar Vigilante, our newsletter, this alert. One big, beautiful short opportunity. Before I give you my macro take on the US stock market bubble, let me give you some TA facts. And he goes on to show how this is basically, if not the top, close to the top, and then everything's going to start crashing. And we're actually seeing that in so many ways. You have gold at all-time highs. Bitcoin just has an all-time high now, again. Those are the two big things that are in our portfolio at Dollar Vigilante, by the way. Like, if you don't know about our newsletter, it's pretty incredible. We've been, you know, two of the biggest things, like we recommended Bitcoin at $3. It's now $110,000. You ever hear about me on the media or anything? No, I'm on BitChute. You should get our newsletter, dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. And with that, you should have a really good chance at making a lot of profit during all this, because most people aren't going to. They're going to actually lose everything during all this. And if we play it right, we could actually make absolute fortunes over the next year. And we already are. If you look at gold, like I said, look at that chart. It's now at all-time highs in gold. As I mentioned, Bitcoin also at all-time highs. This is all because of what's actually happening. We're at the cusp of everything collapsing, and people are just panicking. People who know what's going on are panicking, trying to get out of, it's pretty cool, seaplane. Trying to get out of the dollar, trying to get out of banks before they all collapse. So you should really get our newsletter. Like it's pretty much the most important news. Like I know it sounds, I know I've got some bias here, but I don't have anything even close to it that knows what's going on and has been nailing it so much. But there's really not much out there like it at all. And then on top of that, not only do we have the Dollar Vigilante, we got the Crypto Vigilante newsletter, which I should mention. They always had annual payments for it, and it's around $800 or $900 a year, just so you know, which actually sounded expensive 5 years ago, but now it's almost too cheap. We got to raise all the prices. But we just decided to allow quarterly payments for it. So now you can subscribe to the Crypto Vigilante for about $249 per quarter. And man, with everything going on, and I have to tell you, they do almost daily market update videos, and our analysts are like incredible. They've been charting Bitcoin since it was 10 cents, just so you know. They were mining Bitcoin under $1. All of our Crypto Vigilante guys, almost all of them. Like these are the OGs. I don't know who all these other people with 1 million views on YouTube are, but they don't know anything. Our guys know everything, and you can get it for $249 per quarter. Bitcoin just went up to 110,000. Now, where's it gonna go? I'm actually not gonna tell you. You need to subscribe to our stuff. I can't give you everything for free. But if you do, you'll actually have a good chance of making even more than most people, because they really know the cycles of things. I highly recommend, Monero as well. Up over $400 now. It was $100 like 6 months ago, or maybe less than a year ago for sure. That's actually our other biggest holding. Monero is actually the second most highest rising cryptocurrency of all the cryptocurrencies, I think, in the world in the last year. Like Ethereum's down like 40% or something from a year ago. Most other cryptos are as well, or flat, or not up very much. Monero's up massively. That's our other big holding. Like we're killing it out here. Our subscribers are making fortunes. And if you don't know about our newsletters, you sign up to the Dollar Vigilante and definitely sign up for the Crypto Vigilante. You can even pay for it quarterly now. just go to cryptovigilante.io/subscribe for that. Yeah, this is gonna be an incredible year. Just so incredible. And but again, the most important thing is doing the work on yourself and getting connected to source right now. This is gonna be biblical level stuff happening over the next year. And you're gonna need to be fully prepared for it. And one of the best ways to actually get really connected to source and heal your body completely is the Tesla machine. I can't believe how few people know about it. Like, people are starting to really figure it out now, and now it's going crazy. I'll mention that in a second. They're hiring like crazy. They're just trying to keep up with demand now that people have actually discovered this exists. Like Mark. Hey everyone, I've got a cure story. My fiance has had lichen planus for 10 years. It's a precancerous growth inside her mouth on the left side of her face on the mucous membrane. Lichen planus normally progresses to squamous cell carcinoma. She had surgery about 5 years ago to remove it, but it quickly came back. She's not nearly as faithful as I am with the Tesla machine, and her lichen planus is gone. It's just gone now. She's 45 and has been complaining of hair loss. She's now amazed by all the new little sprouts of hair she's growing. This thing works, I know. My chronic upper back pain between the shoulder blades is gone. I have several ankle arthritis. That is improved but still present. I have fused ankles and jagged bones, so I don't expect any miracles there. I have tinnitus and poor hearing. I just had a work meeting, and for the first time I understood everything that was said. I'm going to hold off on hearing aids. Yeah, so his wife had some cancerous stuff in her mouth. It's gone. He cured and healed a number of other things they both had. He had hearing loss, and since he's been using the machine, he can now hear a lot better. Like this thing, I don't even know how you even explain what it is. It's basically life force energy from source that it makes your body like perfect again. Like maybe not perfect, but restores it to basically perfect health quite quickly in most ways. So much so that it can actually de-age you. I can't believe I'm on BitChute. I've been talking about this for like a year, and most of the comments just say I'm an idiot, and other people are out there on the internet saying, oh, he's crazy, it's just light bulbs. And I'm like, this is freaking miracle, like an actual miracle. It's pretty rare when you see real actual miracles in your life. This is an actual miraculous thing. And Vanessa posted, I have a friend that has tubes in her ears and has been on antibiotics for 2 weeks because her ears were bleeding and extremely painful. She used the Tesla once 2 days ago for 20 minutes while her ears were actively bleeding. Her pain and the bleeding resolved completely by the time we finished treatment. Incredible. The incredible thing is it costs less than what your average American pays for 1 year of healthcare. And the healthcare kills them. And this thing basically cures almost everything. It's incredible. There's actually more sort of doctor type people looking into it now. I can't tell you who, but a lot of people are, this is actually taking off now. Like absolutely getting massive because there's enough people who've seen it now. And they tell two people and they tell two people, and Tesla is just getting so much demand right now. And they're trying to keep up with it. And they're hiring so many people. I told them I'd help them. Like I tell people about all the people they need. So you can go to tesla.club/jobs, and it's got all the jobs. Here's an image of just some of them. And I should point out, the most important position they need filled is Chief Operating Officer, which basically runs the entire company. Because it has a CEO, that's the person who founded it. But they need someone who's like watching everything and you know, because there's so many things, this thing's growing like crazy. And it's really hard to find a really good COO. But if you are one, or if you know anyone who is, please let them know, because they need one pretty badly. They also need member support specialists. They also need online business manager. And that person will be doing things like helping set up digital platforms, webinars, things like that. They also need an accounting manager and a controller. And they even have an open job application on their page. If you just feel like you want to be a part of this and you think you have some skill that can really help get this out to people, because this is absolutely massive. You know, when I think about it, I talked about Bitcoin. I recommended it at $3 in 2011. It's now $110,000. And if you go on the internet, a lot of people say I'm a scammer. Because Pirate Chain went from 5 cents to $15 and then went back to 10 cents. Which is still a 100% gain, by the way. So technically not really even a pump and dump, but that was never a pump and dump. And it actually might be doing really well. You should really subscribe to the Crypto Vigilante. They're still very bullish on it. But to be at the beginning of things like Bitcoin at $10, Ethereum I featured at $2 in 2016. It's now $4,000. And people are like, he's a scam. What are you talking about? And then I've been telling people, I'm the first person who's been telling anyone on Earth that they've rediscovered how to take plasma out of the ether, and it's now healing and de-aging everyone who gets it.
You know what, man?
And I'm still on BitChute, and people are like, he's a scammer. I don't know. Imagine if I was actually a scammer. Like what they'd say about me, but I'm actually doing incredible things, and some people still say this stuff. But anyway, I don't really care. Say whatever you want, I don't care. But, and then what's the other thing I'm trying to do? I'm one of the few people out there who's really trying to push you to become the best thing you could possibly be, and to actually rise out of the matrix, and actually tell you how to do it. Like, no one else is doing this. And if you follow what I'm saying, you basically do. And then you can manifest anything you want, and you actually realize that this isn't base level reality, and you have like no fear, no worry, and you actually heal all kinds of things in the world if you do this work. So that's the other thing I'm doing. People are like, he's a scammer. Like, really? Like, I don't know how much more I could be doing to try to help people.
Yeah, you told me that too.
Yeah. And the average person, well, maybe not your average person, most people haven't even heard of me. They've done such an incredible job. And I don't even really care. In some ways, I'm actually kind of glad. Because if too many people knew about me, I'd become a much bigger target. Not that I'm scared, but it would come with definitely some additional problems. And you know what? I think actually, for some strange reason, the people who do end up following some of my stuff, it's actually for a reason. And they're the right people. And it's not going to be millions and millions or hundreds of millions. It's not going to be like Katy Perry and all that. There's not that many people who are really ready to get out of the matrix and stuff like that. It's like, thousands. It's not millions. So I think that might be part of it as well. Anyway, oh, and I should mention, while I was in Mexico, I've been traveling so much, it's been crazy. I got so much energy. I never run out of energy, ever. I get a little tired sometimes after like 15 hours of travel, but I think that's fairly normal. But I'm still fine. Like, I definitely feel like, okay, it's time for a shower and a bed. But if you said, oh, you gotta just keep going for 15 hours, I'd be like, yeah, well, I can. I don't really want to. Traveling's a little hard sometimes, but in general, I'm just like, no problem, just do anything. And while I was in Mexico, I recorded an over-hour presentation for the upcoming Anarchapulco Freedom Hacking event coming up on May 31st and June 1st, where I actually tell you exactly how to do a lot of the stuff I'm doing. So if you've been watching these videos, like, Jeff, you kind of mention it for like a few minutes, you never really give us details. Well, there's a full hour on it. And if you really want to get out of the matrix, you really want to connect and have incredible things happen, basically create anything you want. It won't happen quickly, it won't happen easily, But I give you most of the ways to do it and how to do it in that event. It's like $150, and there's amazing people on it as well. Christoph Melchizedek, who I consider very possibly to me the most important person on earth. If there's one more important, I haven't met him yet, doing incredible stuff. He's going to be on it as well. I think if you just listen to mine and his, most people would be pretty blown away. But there's like 18 other people on there, all giving you all their best info on every aspect of freeing yourself from this matrix. For like $150. It's right there, narcobook.com/freedomhacking. And you know, you can watch on your own time too. It's gonna be 2 full days. But you can watch like maybe 1 video every day for like a month. And I pretty much guarantee you, there'll be stuff in there that will change your life dramatically. And that's what I'm trying to do as well. I'm doing that as well. Look at all the stuff I'm doing to try to basically help you. Like, I don't have to. If you think about it, do I have to do this? No. And all the stuff that has been thrown at me, Category 5 weather weapons, just for trying to tell you this stuff. But you know, I actually, I've been working a lot with Christoph. And I can't tell you too much. But you're gonna see it over the next year or so, what we're doing. And let's just say it's absolutely massive. And I'll say this much, you will start to see Christoph and a number of other people have begun to take away the power of the things that are running this system in this matrix. And you will start to see it probably in the next 6 months. And you'll see some crazy things, by the way. I can't say too much. I want to leave, I want to let people just sort of see it for themselves and be surprised by it. You're going to see a lot of these most evil people in the world all of a sudden lose most of their power. Some of them are actually going to have nervous breakdowns. Some of them are going to become very sick and die in the next 6 months. Mark my words, we're working on it. And you can actually hear from Christoph on what he's doing, because this is what he's doing. Like, people are like, Jeff, where's the solutions? Well, Christoph's doing most of them, and you don't even have to do anything. He's doing it for you. Just incredible. So anyway, get signed up for it. narcobook.com/freedomhacking. But keep that in mind too, though. If you're getting down, like, when's this world ever gonna get anything good happening good? It's starting basically now. You're gonna start to see it. You're gonna see massive changes in the next year. I can't tell you too much. Yeah. Part of it is you just have to see it for yourself, but do the work on yourself, because all this stuff that's going to happen to all those people, if you're not completely pure as well, this is basically like what you would call almost like a reverse rapture. If you're not very pure, you're going to go down too. So if you haven't done the work, have your body physically perfect, your mind as good as it can be as connected to source as possible, meditation and prayer. Where am I? Oh. Then you will also have a very bad time. Because it's not just the really bad guys. Everyone's going to have to go through this. This is what Max Igan's been talking about. This is the soul test. And you'll see it soon. But don't get, you know, you got to do the work as well. I'm doing the work all the time. Like, I rarely stop. I got my Tesla machine here. I'm meditating with it this morning. Doing incredible meditations. All while I'm on this trip. Like, I never stop. And I'm even doing these videos. And I'm doing so many things. I really am. Anyway, if you were kind of getting down, especially seeing all this Israel stuff, it's so freaking evil. I can't believe it's even real. Well, nothing's real, but in this matrix, in this reality, this experience we're having currently, it feels very real. And I could see how a lot of people would be like, you know, almost wanting this world to end, and it will actually. But in order for you to be a part of it, you've got to do the work as well. That's all I can tell you for now. Watch my talk on the Freedom Hacking event. I talk all about this. And if so, you'll survive it as well. And we've got amazing things coming. Oh, Jeff, you're such a doom and gloomer. We've got incredible things coming, but not everybody. And a lot of people are gonna not even be here as this happens. And a lot of people won't be able to handle it either, because it's not gonna be easy as all this stuff collapses and as all this power structures collapse. There's gonna be a lot of chaos and a lot of uncertainty. And your average person, if they're not ready for it in every single way, physically, mentally, spiritually, won't be able to handle it. So get ready. I tell you how. narcoboga.com/freedom hacking. I'm trying to help you. But anyway, do whatever you want. We'll see what happens. I should go find, I'm gonna go find my 2-year-old, see what he's up to. Oh, there he is. And